I thank God that we have come this far within a very short span of time, because when I joined MCSK around April last year, it was a crisis. And there were so many things that were not in place. We didn't have a license. The society not had a license for 7 years. There were no tariffs. The ones that were gazetted in 2019 lowered the value of music by 90%. When the commodity of everything else in the world was going up. Then COVID and came and disrupted the entire operations of music and the creative economy. So when I joined, the campaigns were ongoing. And there was very little I could do in terms of getting the government to create the right policies and the legislative framework for me to work on, so that I can improve and streamline the ecosystem of music. So it took me a while, because the campaigns were ongoing until August. Then after that, it took quite a while because of the Supreme Court petition. And then by the time the ministers were appointed and settled in office, it was already in October. But I thank God, because when the CS Ababna Mwamba was appointed, our CS, when the handing over was taking place, I was the first guest in his office. As the old minister was leaving and the new one coming in, I was there. And so I pushed the conversation about music to the policy makers, to the government, and to the level of the cabinet secretary, to ensure that he understands. And I went with the documents, I provided all the information, and we started the conversations there. Obviously, it has taken some time, but I can report right now that all the CMOs have been licensed until 2024. New tariffs were gazetted about a month ago by the CS that have lifted the value of music from where it was by 60%. We are now having one revenue stream, one major one, called blank tape levy or private copying. That has been law for 5 years, but not operationalized. And as of yesterday, as late of yesterday, we were given the HR codes by KRA that will synchronize, because this levy is going to be the game changer, because it's a lot of money. It is money. It's a tax levied on any gadget that has capacity to record music at the port of entry. So if a container comes with 2 million gadgets, zinahesabiwa, unapewa, unalipa, because it's in the law. And it was not operationalized. Now people were blaming CMOs for the poverty afflicting musicians. And yet these CMOs were only collecting from clubs and salons and probably media houses, that broadcasting stations that are even struggling. And there was no major revenue stream. Now, what I've done is to utilize the major revenue streams like YouTube and Google and TikTok, and now getting the private copying or blank tape levy operationalized. We are hoping to roll out by 12th of September. We are estimating that in the minimum, we'll be able to raise 6 billion per year. So when you look at the three CMOs, MCSK, CAMP, and PRISC, jointly, I've been collecting about 200 million per year. If I'm estimating from one revenue stream to raise 6 billion, you can see this is a game changer. Yes. And everything is in place. Yesterday, we got the HR codes from KRI. The engine has been identified by the government. The revenue share between the three CMOs has been worked out and then gazetted. We have new tariffs, we have licenses, and the entire ecosystem right now is working seamlessly. But what I think my achievement has been and will be is creating awareness about the business of music. Making people understand that music is not a side hustle. It is business, creative economy, talanta ni hela. That a parent can support their child to become a musician and believe that they will actually make a living and make money out of it and be decent people out of their music. That music does not have to be dirty to sell, that we can create this as business, create a structure and a code of ethics that guides the operations of music, but create that ecosystem between the government, the creatives themselves, the CMOs, and the consumers of music, so that we work together, because no one can succeed alone. That awareness, that legal framework, is what I consider to be the turning point for the music industry in Kenya. So I can say, as I promised when I joined, that by this time next year, we'll probably be having musicians laughing or smiling all the way to the bank, Because unlike in the past where they were getting very little money because we were collecting very little, and there cannot be major distribution without major collection, now this time round, we are making the business of music profitable. Yeah. And I've done this by creating awareness on how it works, that music is business. So what are the ethos and pathos that define a business? You got to do it as a business. You have to know your market, your audience, and your target market. And you have to align your music as a product to that. Government has to do its role to protect copyright and fight piracy and ensure that intellectual property is respected in line with Section 40 of our Constitution that says that the government or the state has an obligation to protect the intellectual property of its citizen. Getting those offices to open and having that conversation is a big milestone for me. You know, because I've gone to school and I've also been in this industry for long, I know it. Because I believe there are 3 E's that contribute to greatness: education, experience, and exposure. And I have them. So I speak from authority. I can engage these youths. You know, I was engaging with the other day with a lady called Saru, who was sang the song, Niko na pesa na niya babako kasikie vibaya na uko kwenu. And I was like, good. Now we can talk. You are talented, but you don't sing that way. And I want you to know that the people are pushing the clickbaits and the views and shares on social media do not have the money. I'm the one with the money. Yeah. And then when we create the culture, because music is powerful, unless you don't know what your talent is all about and the power in your talent, then there's a sense in which you must sell your music to the widest audience that you can get. So you don't just sell it to the Islando guys or to the, perverts or to the guys who are rebellious, who will just cheer you up and they're not buying the music. So I am not afraid to create the conversation, even if they will troll me on social media. I asked her the question, because this is a boy who was dating, the girl was dating a boy, they broke up, she started dating the father. And so she tells the boy, niko na pesa na niya babako kasikie vibaya na uko kwenu. Do you really want to glamorize that? Is it a nice thing? We are going to have conversations. So we'll not use a big rungu. We're not going to use a big stick to clamp down on freedom of expression on the musicians. We are going to have a conversation. And we will not be afraid to have those hard conversations. Do you think that is the right thing? Is it the right thing? Is that content selling? Is it giving you money? Is it giving you the purpose for which God gave you that talent? It's God-given first and foremost. You are talented this way, came from God. I identified you. So you are a vehicle for social cultural transformation. Do you want to do it that way? Is your talent to destroy or to build society? Is it to bring development or to bring challenges to regulators and to the government? Do you want to push the narrative of rebellion and lawlessness and the culture of anything goes, where we can say anything to anybody, where we don't respect authority, God, parents, government? Do you think we have a better society that way? And you just oppose that with what is happening. For example, in Western Gishu, where now kids are saying we want accountability from our... But if you are going to push that culture, that's what you get. If we are going to elect leaders on the basis of who can insult the president more, if you're going to buy music on the basis of how vulgar it is, how profane it is, that's what you get. So I wanted these young people to see, and I want them to understand that I'm their champion. I am their friend. And therefore, the conversation we are going to have is not us versus them. It's about how do we make music business profitable. So, is vulgarity the only thing that sells? Is nudity the only thing that sells? And I want at the end of the day, music to be relevant to our generation, to our society, and I want our people to be able to know that government will respect you, parents will respect you, the society will respect you when you are using your talent to contribute positively to the growth and development of society. Yeah. So that conversation is what will create money. Yes. That conversation is what will get the government to create the right laws to open up the space and make music profitable. We are signing bilateral agreements. They are called reciprocal agreements with other jurisdictions to ensure that music played in those countries, Kenyan music played in those countries, also is paid for. So particularly on the digital platform. So last month I was in South Africa. We signed with the African Digital Hub, Capasso, to be able to collect the repertoire of music on YouTube for Kenyans, collect on our behalf. And we raised the percentage from what we had signed with the YouTube about 5 years ago at 1.7%. Now we raised it to 16.5. That's how you look at the business. I went and negotiated and signed a new deal with the Capasso to collect for us on YouTube at 16.5%. That would be huge because we're getting about 4 million per quarter. So even on that basic platform, you can see it will not be less than 20 million. So if you are raising from 4 million to 20, how do you score me as a CEO, all right? And this is money that will go to the musicians because it comes with the identification. Whose logs are these? Whose music, whose works are these? And therefore, the money comes directly. It has your name, and so it will go to you because we are streamlining that area. But I have an itinerary that is taking me to Turkey, to Switzerland, to US, to UK, where we are signing. Some of them had been signed, but they lapsed, some of these reciprocal agreements, so we were not getting anything. Now we are reviving them. And because we are creating a conversation, because the conversation must begin at home. Because some of those countries say, if you want us to pay, we must align our payments to your local tariffs. If the government had lowered the value of music in Kenya by 90%, there's nothing that they could pay. Number two, we are promoting the issue of local content here, so that even broadcasting stations, including EBN, will play more local. It's good to play Nigerian music. It's good to play music from other jurisdictions, but eventually we have a policy in line with the law that promotes local content, so that our young people who are so creative will find a place to articulate or to express themselves through these platforms. But let me say, like I said at the beginning, the CMOs have been collecting from traditional market streams, revenue streams, restaurants, kinyozi. You cannot enrich musicians in pesa ya kinyozi, bwana. No. And you know, it was such a contradiction in terms when I met the minister, when he heard that there is something called blank tape levy that has been in the law for 5 years with the capacity to raise 6 billion. And yet we are chasing watu wa kinyozi in Buruburu, harassing them to pay music licenses when this has been in the law and is the major stream. So we end up collecting money where we sent them 600 and people complain, oh, the CMOs don't pay. Yet the government is sitting on a law that is worth 6 billion. Now, yesterday we got the HR records from KRA. We have synchronized and we're hoping to roll by 12th of December. See, this is what leadership does. And my challenge has been to musicians, because if you take music as business, then no business, no profession is respected until it comes up with its own structures, a code of ethics. So you want this to be considered as business or a profession, like law, like engineering, like accountant, like journalism. You got to have a code of ethics, because there is no way the industry and the ecosystem will respect you when you do not respect yourself. So when I have that conversation, for example, with Saru, it's not out of hatred or religious dogma. It is because there is no other way we are going to be respected. We cannot have anybody rising from anywhere singing whatever they want. Wamlambes, and like a national anthem. You can't do that. We are saying, if you want this to be treated as business, then you are going to have the laws governing it and say this material is for this market. What is for adults is going to be adult, and we got to know from the time you are creating. And then we synchronize the ecosystem from the creators of music so that they create quality music that can be consumed locally and internationally. And then the government to do its part to fight piracy, create the revenue stream, monetize content on digital platforms, and help our youth to know how to do it and create awareness. That's why Talanda Hela by Honorable Babuna Mwamba is such a game changer. The other thing that I did when I went to South Africa, I met the major music record companies. Sony, the other one is what? Universal, and there was one more. The three of them, the big companies in the world. And we're in a conversation. But this is what they told me. Unlike even your neighbors in Tanzania, there seems to be nothing unique about Kenyan music. You have no unique culture for your music or for your creative art. We cannot identify Kenyan music. If you put it in the chart and try what is so unique about Kenya, you can't. So I'm trying to create a repertoire that is unique to Kenya, and getting our artists to understand that we have a culture that we can sell out there. We are blessed, we are creative, we are educated. Our young people are so robustly involved in ICT, but that is not translating to money. Some of them were just posting big cars and big houses. They don't own those houses. Then they don't own those cars. One of them posted that they were in London. Then they got an accident outside my gate. And then to rescue them. So I was like, but I saw you in London. What happened? So you can see. So people are into social media doing funny things, fake things that are not helping. I want us now to take this as business. Sit down and create a Kenyan music culture. Our repertoire that is unique. Ukisikia hii muziki, unajua hii ni Kenya. The way you know Nigeria, you will know when it plays. You'll know South Africa when it plays. We have no unique culture. Diamond is defining the culture of Tanzanian music and is making a lot of money. Our guys are more tech savvy than even Diamond Platinum. Why are we not having as much traction on YouTube? Why are we not selling our music, our content on digital platforms? Because we don't even resonate with our own government and the local market. We got to work on it here and create understanding and ensure that our laws define our culture and our music is protected from piracy, and that uniqueness is supported by the government and the entire ecosystem. And I believe I have a brand that I bring to the industry that is acceptable, that is tested and tried, that I can match with the rest of the CEOs and the corporate leaders, and they can listen to me, from the churches to the marketplace to the politics, that we can resonate. It's the first time, I would say, with tremendous humility, where a CEO of my caliber would be in a music business. So the story is changing, because before they would pick anybody. You would see the advert, even the threshold, you want even to remove a degree. So you end up attracting just diploma and lower, and you want that CEO to be the same as the CEO in Royal Media Services or the one in KCB and so on. The best thing we can do is to professionalize the business of music, give it leadership that is exposed, the 3 E's, education, experience, exposure, and then create a network where instead of selling our music to just Kenya, we sell it to the global market, because the world is a global village. Push it on the digital platforms and monetize and ensure that we protect our music when it's put there. I was very sad when I joined last year when I met this guy who did Kwangwaru. And Kwangwaru was doing, not Kwangwaru, it was Kungulu Kwangala. Kwangwaru is the English for Diamond. Kungulu Kwangala is a local guy, he's a Kamba. And he told me he has never gained anything. And yet TikTok was doing challenges. There were about 100 of them on TikTok for Kungulu Kwangala, and the guy had not gained anything. So I was saying, where is the government in this? Because we should make this guy rich, because he has content that is trading globally, but he's not making money. Now you needed leadership, and everything changes, everything rises or falls at the level of leadership. And I believe by God's grace, that's what I'm bringing. Transformation that is real, that will impact the pockets of our musicians, that will make musicians respected, and they will enjoy. I'm having this conversation even with the church, you can't believe it. I'm saying worship leaders and the worship teams, as we go on, we must have a way that they have a budget where we say, let's make our worship the finest we can have. To do that, they need to spare time to practice. Some of them are actually just called for that. The worship leaders cannot be also working for other places. With time, we need to refine this, because once we make that music nice and we record and we put it on YouTube, it's paying. So they're making money from there. The reason why the churches cannot pay is because we are relying on the offering to pay, and you can't pay the pastor, pay all the other workers and pay. So we have treated the worship element as a pro bono. So how is that going to be respected? I want my child, and a young child somewhere, to be inspired to become a musician, because Cynthia, who is a musician, is living well. You are feeding your family, you are putting food on the table, you are paying school fees using your talent. The moment your talent cannot get there, then we are not building more talents, because what is the inspiration? If these guys are struggling, they are into depression, they are living fake lives, because there is no real money, because the government has not invested in creating the structures that would protect the intellectual property. That's what I'm bringing to the table. And I think it's working.